Hello and good morning to another exciting show of New Day here on TV3, your favorite super morning show. Of course, it's a super exciting Tuesday, terrific Tuesday as we like to call it here. And we plan to rock your morning right from now till about 9 a.m. when we wrap up for Afro Tales to take over. To remind you, we're still in Pink October month. So every lady out there, go check your breast and ask your husband or your partner to be of help. Do encourage the women in your community or your neighborhood to step out there. Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
Morning. It's exciting, yeah?
It is.
Tuesday, I mean...
Today, no rains.
No rains.
Yeah.
I had a good sleep, you know. My landlord didn't disturb.
I did have a good sleep well.
Did you sleep alone?
Yes, I did, with my comforter. But I guess now I'm taking on the role of, going back into exercising. So it helps me feel very tired and then I'm able to sleep.
I mean, like exercising in your exercise book?
No.
Working out.
Yes, working out. Like a mini gym in my house.
Too,
yes,
I do.
I
do. It's actually one of my favorite types of exercises.
What does it do?
Unfortunately, I don't like squats.
It's good for your thighs. It's like a combination. It's good for your glutes and your thighs and your legs as well.
Johnny, as you know.
Is it in buckets too?
No, I don't do that.
I'm just checking.
No, it's best when you do it with weights, not just squatting.
Yeah.
You squat with weights, at least like
so
6
or 7.
Dumbbell.
Yeah, dumbbells.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see.
Johnny, you should try. It sounds new to you.
Squatting.
Yes.
I mean, all forms of exercise.
I mean, back in the day, we used to ride like bicycles, like.
But now you don't. So what do you do instead of? So now what do you do? That was back in the day.
Oh, and I jog.
Okay.
Yeah. So how do you train your legs and your thighs?
Say again.
How do you train your?
Well, I lie flat on my back and then I paddle.
So you do the bicycle.
Yeah, I do the bicycle thing, and I eat a lot. I eat well.
Okay, yeah. That's
yesterday morning. Oh, to remind you guys, Johnny went to eat what? Kokonte.
No, I mean
early morning
with
Mrs. Dugan.
Bukum Banku is still raining. How do you?
And so you had to translate it to Kokonte.
No. I mean, but I think the president said that we must live Ghana, speak Ghana, eat Ghana, talk
at that
Ghana,
time of the day. I mean, so in that morning, there's breakfast, there's Ghanaian breakfast, there's millet, there's oats, there's rice water, there's porridge. You couldn't do all that.
Before the white man brought oats, tea, and everything
What time did you eat?
We were doing kokonte.
It was 10 a.m.
Oh, it's fine. It's allowed.
Really?
I would do fufu at that time.
So guys, you see the people I work with.
All these doctors,
No, but there's nothing wrong with eating cocoa at 10 a.m.
Oh, there's everything wrong
How?
with it. Then what will you eat for lunch?
Look, it should be easily.
So what did you have for lunch?
No, it was brunch. We didn't eat lunch.
You didn't eat lunch?
No.
Then you skipped.
So
Mrs. Dugan is supervising the thing, so no lunch.
Then supper?
Yes, then supper.
So what did you have for supper? I hope you didn't reverse the tables by eating cocoa
I didn't.
Anyway, guys, so that's how we start today's show for you. But there's more coming up in the news with Solace Rose Quarter.
Thank you very much, Amma. As she said, there's more coming up from the world of health, business, some political news, as well as some weather. So stay tuned. Many thanks for staying with us. I am Solace Rose Quarter, and this is Morning News. Let's get straight into our details. And government intends to establish a National Cybersecurity Center to oversee cybersecurity operations at the national level. Now, President Nana Akufo-Addo gave the hint at the opening of the National Cybersecurity Week in Accra.
The week-long event is to raise awareness of cybercrime trends and to highlight the importance of cybersecurity at all levels. Representatives from the Council of Europe, United Nations and the United States called for a concerted effort across the world in fighting cybercrime. Communications Minister Ursula Owusu-Ekuful noted the ministry will undertake a national cybersecurity assessment to identify cyber vulnerability and propose specific interventions.
This year's celebration would also highlight knowledge and information sharing among the various stakeholders within the cybersecurity ecosystem. And in the light of this, we have brought cybersecurity service providers on board, both local and international, to showcase what they are doing and the services they are providing to contribute towards our cybersecurity and for us to learn from best practices elsewhere.
President Akufo-Addo said government is committed to investing in the fight against cybercrime to ensure the security of the digital space.
It is critical, therefore, that those in charge of protecting our ICT security are well equipped with the knowledge and the expertise to do so. The tools and competencies with which we fight crime must necessarily, therefore, change. We need to train and have a well-equipped corps of cybercrime fighters, but we should go further than that. I dare say it's time to take another look at the qualifications that we require in a policeman, for example. If what we used to define as crime has changed, then we should redefine the crime fighters as well.
The Cybersecurity Week also aims at promoting anti-cyber crime initiatives and to build the capacity of different stakeholders within the cybersecurity ecosystem.
Right, moving on, the Ministers of Foreign Affairs for the Republic of Lithuania and Ghana, Linus Linkevicius and Shelley Ayoko-Boche, have expressed the commitment of both countries to collaboratively deal with cybersecurity issues. During a visit to Ghana by the Lithuanian Foreign Minister, he noted the achievements of Lithuania in ICT can go a long way to benefit Ghana in its quest to building a paperless society.
Ghana-Lithuania relations have spanned for almost 25 years, with both countries maintaining constant diplomatic, cultural, trade and economic ties. Both the West African and Northern European countries are involved in a number of multilateral projects in the areas of renewable energy, construction and haulage, amongst others. The Ghana government is taking measures to increase the use of ICT in its operations, such as the new digital addressing system policy. However, many have raised concerns on issues of security. E-commerce is applied by many Lithuanian enterprises, while most government services also use internet. Lithuania is well known for being the country with the fastest public internet in the world. The increase in cybersecurity threats over the years makes it imperative to employ effective methods to protect government information from external attacks. Lithuanian Foreign Minister Linus Linkevicius says a favorable business environment would encourage Lithuanian ICT companies to begin investing in Ghana. Minister of Foreign Affairs Shelley Ayoko-Boche assured the Lithuanian delegation of a suitable business climate. The Lithuanian Foreign Minister further noted Lithuania would position itself to play a mediatory role in the Africa-EU summit in Abidjan in November.
Still on ICT and technology, now government through the Youth Employment Agency is to distribute 1,000 smartphones to community nurses across the country. The phones, worth $100,000 received from the Millennium Promise, an agency of the UN, is to assist community nurses to assemble data on diseases.
The UN agency Millennium Promise presented the smartphones to the YEA during President Akufo-Addo's participation in the UN General Assembly. At the Assembly, the President highlighted some of the challenges confronting community-health nurses in Ghana. Based on that, the UN assured the President of 6,000 smartphones to assist them. Aside the 6,000 phones promised the President, the UN agency has presented 1,000 smartphones to the YEA. The agency last year presented 936 phones to the YEA to augment its operations. Its country director, Nathaniel Ebonsako, assured to monitor how the phones would be used.
The trained team that is on the ground requires some tablets or phones to be able to monitor. We want to make sure that people don't sit under trees and sit at home and get paid. We want to give them an equipment that is GPS activated, so that the ghost names and things like people don't work and yet they get paid will be a thing of the past.
Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency, lawyer Justin Kodia, was grateful for the gesture, noting the smartphones would help the nurses in their work.
Definitely, because before a person goes out to the field to work, certainly the person will charge it. And I've also indicated that they are going to supply us with power banks for them to use in the rural areas. So it's something that we've thought about it, and it's going to help the Youth Employment Agency and also the Ghana Health Services.
Now, away from that, the chief of the Jiako in the Busum district, Nana Ejay Peyin, is calling on government to assist in the expansion of an oil mill factory in the community as part of the One District, One Factory project. This, he said, will reduce the high unemployment rate in the area.
The chief and people of Diduako in the Ashanti region in 2016 released over 100 acres of land to a private Ghanaian investor to put up a vegetable oil extraction company. The move was to enhance the economic activities in the area and also create employment to the residents. The factory is currently giving direct employment to about 80 people, but the chief of Diduako wants the government to assist the factory to expand to enable it to employ more people.
Raw materials no otofri esrim sabai ko boa akuafo na amo mutumi produce soya beans no more.
He buys the raw materials up north. Government should assist farmers in the northern region to increase their soybean production to improve livelihoods.
The chief executive officer of Vesta Oil Mills, Kwesi Nyamiche, stressed on how difficult it is for agro-businesses to secure a loan facility. He said government facilitation of loans to them will enable them expand their business and employ more.
We have a lot of outgrower schemes out there with plenty of farmers. You know, we have smallholder farmers with 4 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, and they all feed into our operations because currently we're doing 40 tons a day. We'll be happy if government will assist us in the way of funding. We're not saying government should give us money for free, but we want some flexible kind of arrangement.
Vesta Oil Mills is a vegetable oil extraction company processing mainly soybean and palm kernel oil. The company is also working towards producing fish and poultry feed.
Now, newly installed Garmanche Nitaki Teko has dismissed suggestions that his rise to the Garmanche stool was politically aided. Outdoored at the Kaneshi Palace that has seen several invasions and lockups, the new Garmanche says he is the right person to occupy the stool with the support from the kingmakers. Kamla Kluche has more in the following report.
For several years, the Garmanche's palace has been under siege following chieftains' dispute over the legitimacy of claimants, a divided kingdom with one of the longest protracted chieftaincy disputes in the country. The kingmakers say is free and liberated.
Things went into disarray in the Ghana state. People who actually do not have the spiritual mandate and the mandate of the Ghana people tried to ensure themselves.
Heavily armed policemen fired up for any threat from an opposing faction. The whole palace was under surveillance. The various traditional rites performed in the full glare of the kingmakers who have reposed confidence in the king. In the first public interview, the newly installed ruler took a jab at his opposing factions.
There are several communicable diseases that are affecting our communities, and you sing and talk about the Gazette. That was acquired fraudulently. Yes. We appeal to the authorities. Appeal to the authorities to reverse that action, because we have resolved that we are not afraid. We are not. We are not afraid. Politics will not be brought into this reign.
He is resolute. What the Ghana state needs is liberation from economic hardship and poverty.
I want to unite the Ghana state. By the year 2020, the Ghana state will be united, and our resolve will be positive, because by 2020, we should be one of the biggest enterprises on the African continent.
The kingmakers are hopeful the new government will lead a state devoid of political influence, which they believe accounts for the protracted conflict. Kamla Kluche, TV3 News, Kaneshi, Accra.
Now away from that, let's move over to business, where a forum intended to scale up investments between Ghana and Morocco has opened in Accra. Now, trade between the two countries has dropped by 3.9% within the last 5 years.
The forum is a follow-up to the Moroccan president's visit to Ghana in February this year. During his visit, 25 business agreements on automobile, energy, mining and other sectors of the economy were signed. Both countries agreed to develop the various sectors by increasing investments. Available figures from the Ministry of Trade indicates that Ghana's imports from Morocco stand at $87 million and Morocco's imports to Ghana at $7 million. Currently, there are more than 80 Moroccan businesses in Ghana. The Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry expressed worry about low levels of trade between the two countries.
Surgical and chemical industries, plastic industry, trading and waste management. The forum will have business-to-business and government-to-government meetings to address areas of concern, as well as providing businessmen and women the opportunity to interact, establish business relationships, and conclude business deals.
Chief Executive Officer of the Moroccan Export Promotion Center, Marifi Zara, spoke about plans to strengthen partnership between the two countries.
This partnership, led by major Moroccan private groups, have benefited vital sectors for the modernization of some African economies, and several models of these economic partnerships are success stories already since a decade.
The Deputy Minister of Trade, Carlos Ahinkra, directed the GIPC and the Free Zones Board to consider exchanging trade ideas with Morocco.
Are aimed at making Ghana the most business-friendly economy in Africa. Some of the reforms include the establishment of an electronic register for business regulations, legislations and processes which should lead to providing a complete repository of business laws and transparency for investments.
Other speakers underscored the need to deepen relations between the two countries.
And now issues regarding the health sector, and President of the National Diabetes Association of Ghana, Esi Denyo, is threatening to sue multimedia group news reporter Kwete Nate and 3 others for defamation. Esi Denyo has denied ever selling and diverting insulins meant for children with diabetes, insisting their actions was a deliberate attempt to tarnish her reputation.
The president of the National Diabetes Association of Ghana, Esi Denyo, mentioned Dr. Emmanuel Ameyaw of the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, multimedia group morning show host Kojo Yankson, news reporter Kwete Nate and Jeanette Obimpe, a nurse, as having defamed her in a radio documentary. The senior nursing officer said allegations of corrupt practices leveled against her by the 4 are baseless and mischievous.
Those accusations have never happened. We've never sold insulin meant for children in Ghana before. It has always been free. And we haven't diverted insulin meant for children for adults. Insulin meant from adults are procured VAT-free. So it goes at a subsidized price.
Esi Denyo dismissed claims made by Dr. Emmanuel Ameyaw of under-declaring insulins she received from donors for onward delivery.
You came for insulin in Accra. You got to Kumasi, it was missing. Don't you call the person who gave it to you? But he wrote to Australia, he didn't receive the insulin. So I took the letter from Australia to the then Minister for Health, who minuted that then the CID commissioner should look into it, because it was becoming frequent. So eventually the CID went through and they realized that he stole the insulin, and there was a police report issued to the Minister for Health to that effect.
Is the man still at post?
He is still at post, and that's the question. Why he is at post? Because they assured me in Konfanochi they were going to handle it, but I didn't hear anything again.
According to the senior nurse, she formed a functional association for the advocacy work after she nearly lost her life from the disease.
We're going to take legal actions against them. They want to tarnish my reputation because they haven't had it easy with me. I don't condone corruption.
Esi Denyo says The smear campaign will not deter her from fighting for the betterment of about 80,000 people living with diabetes in Ghana, out of which 670 are children under 23 years.
Now, away from that, the Ghana Railway Company is bedeviled with several challenges. In the following report, the news team chronicles some of the challenges confronting the railway sector.
The Accra to Nsawam route is one of the few networks still in operation. The coaches that ply this route have been doing so since 1986. Though old and rusty, they continue to transport hundreds of passengers daily. The Accra station is bedeviled by activities of traders and all manner of persons who have no business there. Traders compete with the trains for space despite the dangers. This, however, is not peculiar to the Accra station. At the Odor station, squatters who were evicted in October last year have returned. These structures have once again been put up close to the rail lines. Most of them are bars, food vending joints, and residence for young men and women seeking greener pastures in the capital. Despite warnings by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, construction works are ongoing. The tracks are also indiscriminately littered and liquid waste is poured on them. Activities contributing to the destruction of the already filled tracks. The tracks here are only a representation of what used to be. It has several railings missing, portions eroded, and rest of the land belonging to the Ghana Railway Company encroached by small businesses.
I've stayed here for like 26 years. It's the people who is in charge of the train, they give us here to do our businesses because the train has stopped passing here. They charge for the land. It's a year. You pay like 60 cedis.
Structures marked for demolition still stand. The Nsawam station looks deserted, almost like a haunted house in a horror movie. The office of the station manager obviously haven't felt the strokes of a paintbrush and have several broken panes. This tiny police post now serves as a residence for railway staff. The foundation of this staff quarters is also gradually being washed away. The station manager also doubles as a ticket officer. The Accra-Nsawam route serves mainly traders. Patiently, they spend hours waiting for the train. The moving train is also threatened by these homes and structures close to the tracks. Some transport companies also park their buses in a manner that poses a danger to the train.
Now to some politics, and a group calling itself Committed Grassroots Faithfuls of the New Patriotic Party is pleading with the party to reinstate the suspended General Secretary Kwabena Ejapon. There have been similar pleas from party foot soldiers in the Ashanti and the Bono-Ahafo regions.
Kwabena Ejapon was suspended alongside second Vice Chairman Sami Crab and National Chairman Paul Afoko in December 2015. At a news conference in Accra, the group indicated as party activists and delegates their concerns should not be overlooked. On the sidelines of the news conference, convener Jihan Efwa Nuhu noted the current silence by the National Executive Council of the NPP is worrying.
15 months down the lane, there have been another 4 months. I think that this is a small blunder. Very, very quickly do away with and move on. That's why we said Article 10 should have been activated if it is a removal, so that the General Secretary or the party would say, after 15 months, we have decided that we want to remove you. We get to that bridge, we decide what to do. But at this material time, this extended suspension of no return is really much a cause of worry for us.
The group has petitioned President Akufo-Addo, former President J. Akufo, Acting Chairman Freddie Blay, and Acting First Vice Chairman Frederick Anto for Kwabena Ejapon to be reinstated. Jihan Efwa Nuhu stated their call did not include Sami Crab and Paul Afoko because the path of the two are taking to seek redress.
That they are in court. You don't want issues of contempt. The other people, they have gone to court. That's another option available for them. Whether or not those are options that we believe in is another topic for an entire discussion.
A member of the group, Haruna Abdul Basit, noted Kwabena Ejapon's enormous contribution to the party even while on suspension.
He gave each constituency 2,000 Ghana cedi in the run-up to the election to organize themselves for the election.
without that, if he doesn't wish well for the party, he will take such steps. He appeared in our recently held national conference, and a host of other steps that he took. We thought that there were only some mix-up in the way things should be done at the party level. And so he demonstrated goodwill at all levels.
And now to the weather forecast for the next few hours.
The weather report is brought to you by
And that's how we wrap up morning news here on New Day on TV3. I am Solace Rose Quarty. Johnny and Amma bring you more on New Day after this. Stay with us.
Welcome back and thank you very much. This is New Day here live on TV3, and it's now time for us to check out what's on the front pages of our dailies. And Amma, super doctor.
We'll start off with the finder. I won't mind you, Johnny. Well, the finder says cybersecurity crucial to national digitalization efforts. That's coming from the president. Also, no room for white elephant factories. One district, one factory coordinator says. Edward Kwapon has been appointed acting Fair Wages CEO. And then government to supply SHS students with mobile devices. That's coming from the minister. And these are the stories carried by the finder.
Congratulations to Mr. Dr. Edward Kwapon. I mean, he's a fine gentleman, you know, and I remember when we started operations at 3FM 92.7, it was one of the trusted resources that we could have, bringing his perspectives on HR and management and issues about politics and, you know, and he brought a very, you know, cogent argument line to every conversation that we had. I think about just last week, you know, I had him on the news review, you know, segment of the show, and for me, it's a giant leap, one of the best appointments yet by the government, and congratulations to Dr. Kwapon.
Congratulations.
I know that
we hope the wages do become fair, because we know a lot of people agitate when it comes to
I mean, for a man who's
so.
a legal practitioner who has industrial legal experience and labor legal experience as well, plus his boss at HR Perspective, so things related to remuneration and negotiation and all the other things are done. I think though that on the back of that, most of our workers, especially those in the public sector and even the private sector, are more fixated on how much allowance they can get as opposed to what their basic salary is. Most people forget that you retire on your basic salary and not on your allowances. So, sorry about that. So you could be earning, say, 1,800 or 1,500 or 1,200, and your basic salary out of that could be just, say, some 400 Ghana cedis, and all the rest could be allowances. You would be happy now. But when you are retiring, when nobody has to give you transport allowance and anything else, they will slash it down. The calculation is made based on your basic salary. And that's where they start complaining. So don't be too happy when you have fat allowances and your basic salary is small. Look for a basic salary that's huge and small allowances, so that when you're going home, you'll be excited.
Yes, salary,
I mean,
definitely.
so it's sometimes not about official dump, even though you can't exonerate them completely from some of these things. But there are people who work in our ministries and in other government agencies, and I mean, their names are not on the payroll, but they go there every day to go and do some work, whatever it is. At the end of the month, people contribute, and then they give it to them as a lump sum, and then they go and enjoy a salary. And then when they are 60, they will tell everybody, na me come ministry hokra, na me nyo mo ade juma suma me ni ade nyina afi me adu tam obi akufia mo obi retirement. I'm not part of it, you know. So we need to be very careful about some of these, and I hope that Dr. Kwapon will look at some of these issues and make sure that we get some.
We hope so too. But of course, cybersecurity is crucial. That's coming from the president.
It is.
Right now, we're going digital every stream, and definitely it's high time we look at it crucially, because Johnny, as we put our information out there, we don't want a situation where it comes back to bite us in the butt because we've done something right. But if they don't put these systems in place, then we all suffer for it. Even though we're looking at the ultimate good, it then becomes a negative for us. So I'm happy we're going on this tangent as they launch the National Cybersecurity Week, is it? Yeah. And the president made these comments. So definitely they're big on it, the agenda. We hope it pushes forward to become a good thing for all of us.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about the world being a global village, and we've been talking about it for a long time. And hey, viewers, I mean, join the conversation. Let's know your thoughts. 0508235228. Join us on WhatsApp, on Facebook as well. You can leave a comment there so we can share with the rest of the wonderful world. But we've been talking about the world being a global village, and we've been talking about the fact that, well, most of the things that we see being done now, you know, are tilting towards digitization of the Ghanaian people. I saw on page 2 of the Finder how the Minister for Communication says, well, they're going to distribute some mobile devices so that it will have the syllabus of you know, and somebody had a conversation with me about that. My key concern is about how we safeguard our data. Because we know that in other jurisdictions, people can hack into those systems. Imagine if somebody hacks into the system, gets your SNIT number, gets your bank details, gets your house number, gets everything. They can sit at one corner and control your life and end up blackmailing you to come and give them whatever you have. So, and that's what South Africa is suffering right now. Because development is good. Nobody says it's not. But are we prepared for it? Are we really, really prepared for it? How many people? See, and we have a trend in Ghana. Ever since we discovered oil in commercial quantity, almost all the universities are doing oil and gas, oil and gas, oil and gas, oil and gas. It used to be banking and finance. Then now journalism came up, broadcasting. And then now we'll obviously would have people, cyber, security, blah, 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 blah. But what is the quality of the education that people are getting? And do we have the infrastructure, for example? So people today will continue to jump red lights, and nothing will happen to them. Even though you have cameras sitting on top of the traffic light. Nothing. Because it's either there are no hard drives that will store the footage at wherever they are monitoring, or there's nobody behind the screens to be monitoring, or all these things exist, but nobody just cares about it. And if that's the same attitude we want to go, for example, the mobile money. Mobile money has become an albatross on the necks of plenty people. Look, somebody will send you a message and say, well, I sent you X amount of money. Sometimes you check, and then if you have the equivalent, you send it, and then they will tell you, oh, the money is being sent already, you can't get it. Really? How does it work? If I go to a bank and somebody makes a wrongful withdrawal from my account, or I pay money into an account wrongfully, and I have a receipt to confirm same, or the transaction is done, which is why the bankers will sign everything, the money will be reversed in my account. So if we say we're doing e-banking with mobile money, why can't it be reversed? I mean, really, is it an insider's job? Somebody inside who is
helping, conniving with people.
With the people.
Johnny, it is.
I mean, Charlie, money is hard to come by these days.
It is.
But imagine you send school fees to your daughter or your son,
and doesn't read,
and then he gets 600 Ghana, and then she gets the message that, oh, I sent so and so 600 Ghana. Can you send it? And then he sends it, because you may not have had the time to call to say that, oh, I sent you this money, and then 2 days after, the school is chasing your daughter, and then you don't have money to go. I mean, so we need to be very, very careful, and the president has said it. Let's see how it goes.
But the sanctions, I'm interested in the sanctions that go with these cybersecurity threats, because like you said, with even the mobile money issue, which is a smaller platform, it's been in the system for a while. Even that, we can't seem to curb those who are found to, you know, fraudulently be part of these activities. And even on that small scale, we can't do this. How much more when we roll out all these e-commerce activities and we're not able to clamp down on them? So even if they put down the laws, the sanctions are the most important part. I hear they're going to train judges, prosecutors, computers. Good, but after you've trained them, make sure they're working. Otherwise, I mean, we neither went nor came. We will be at a standstill. So that is the most important thing for me, the punishment, the repercussions thereof. Otherwise, what's the point?
In 2016 alone, we lost about $50 million to that. But you see,
Anthony, we continuously lose.
Interestingly, the picture on the front page of the Finder has Mr. Ambrose Derry, who is Minister for the Interior, has Dr. Kandapa, or Mr. Kandapa, who is Minister for National Security, has the Attorney General, Gloria Kufu, has the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and then it has the Minister for Communications, Eslo Usu Kufu, and then it has Defense Minister Dominic Nictebo. It doesn't have anybody from the President, the Ghana Police Service. Because if we're talking about cybercrime, we have a cybercrime unit.
But Johnny, Minister for Defense covers those.
No, Minister for Interior may cover. Minister for Defense is for the military.
Yes.
But Minister for Interior, see.
These are Johnny, these are representatives.
These are our figureheads.
They cover, yes. We can't have all the
No, I'm not saying, I'm just asking. So at this particular event, they were not there. Or the Finder chose to pick up.
Maybe it's just that picture that the Finder.
I don't know, because look, check the front pages of all the papers, and we don't include them. Look, prove me wrong. Check the statement.
Johnny, they probably know.
Check them. Look, check.
But we know that they were there, at least, and that.
I don't know. How do I know? In the story, they're not there.
You didn't watch what
they are not there in the story. They are not there. The people who will do the work, they are not being shown. The people who will do the work. If I have problem and I want to go and talk to somebody, can I go to Mr. Ambrose Derry's office? When you call their phone lines, they are seldom available sometimes. I mean, you tell you they are in Parliament, or they have traveled out for a conference, or they are working on some other project. You call back, the secretary will book something for you. It's not just him.
No, I'm just saying we can't use this picture to draw a conclusion.
Oh, I'm not drawing a conclusion.
The fact that they are not in the picture doesn't mean they are not involved.
Oh, no, I'm just raising a question.
Right, okay. So, yeah, that's fine.
So why do we do that? Maybe Mr. Elvis Dako, good morning to you. Maybe you can... Why do we do that? We only put a big man there and a small man.
Anyway, guys.
Well, it's just for jokes anyway.
Right.
But then we'll move on, of course.
Yeah, we will. So Daily Heritage also has a story we carried yesterday concerning the railway that derailed. I mean, the railway company is to cough up 24,000 Ghana cedis to move the rail train at Tesano. Also, Accra and Sabom operation suspended. Then other stories, but I guess political religious leaders have failed, as that's coming from a peace ambassador. That's the fallout from Togo crisis.
I agree. We'll talk about the rail, but I agree that the political religious leaders have failed us.
They have.
They have failed us because now they are only talking about what matters to them. Look, I say whenever a politician speaks and says, I care for you, I want to do this for you, blah, 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 blah. They're doing it because of an end. There are only a few of them who will do things and it will inure to them. But most of them, they have an end goal. They know what they want to achieve at the end of it.
Right.
Same with our religious leaders. Now they have become merchants. They are selling salt, they are selling water, they are selling oil, they are selling charcoal, everything in church. And Islamic clerics are also perhaps not helping the situation. We thought that, well, they would have been the checks and balance. But on both sides, we don't get it at all. Look, we will always have politicians come back to talk about issues when the issues are finally broken. Look, we have a railway corporation. We have a minister designated for rail lines. Why would we have such a thing when we're told that the sleepers, the small planks in between the rails, is rotting away? Why would it rot when, in fact, the rail lines or the racks has been set on a hill? Why would it rot? Was it that they had patches of water gathering in there, or what was it? We know what happens in other jurisdictions, that they have these things, and yet they don't rot. So why are ours rotting? Did we get bad wood, or did we get bad wood, or did we have water patches there?
The army worms are chewing the wood.
Perhaps maybe army worms, or our maintenance culture is not so good, or we didn't preserve the wood before we put the wood there. You know, some of these things. And now, look, I heard Mr. Abraham Wood, who is Accra area manager, saying that only 7 people out of the 400 who were on board got injured. Really? 7 people?
Even if one was injured.
Even if one person got injured, do you know what work that person does? Do you know how many people that person's work supports? Do you in any way know how long it will take before the injury gets properly fizzled out? And how is that person going to feed and take care of himself and his family? Because of a negligence of duty. I can't believe this. Look, and we know that the buffer zone between the rail line and the next point, it used to be 150 meters, 150 feet, but now it's been reduced to 100 feet. Go to Kwame Nkrumah Circle, go to Tesano, go to Alajo, go to Jowolu. Check, there is not even 2 feet. Now, for those who don't know, this is 3 feet. So if we're talking about 100, say 1 feet is this, 2 feet, 3 feet. We're talking about 100 feet. Go to Kwame Nkrumah Circle right now, today, right now. Go to Jowolu, go to Achimota, go to Alajo, go to Tema. Just check it out. Go to Insawam. People are living close to the rail. If the train derails, then we will come and have people tell you it's only 7 people who...
Johnny, but truth be told, we're even fortunate. This would have happened many years ago because these railways, I mean, have been dilapidated ever since we knew of them. And I'm wondering why, that's why I was worried when we kept on talking about expanding and moving. But the ones that already exist don't seem to work. So what's the point in putting money to expand when the ones existing are already failing us? Anyway, guys, that's enough.
Look, when I was a kid, and this will be my final thought, when I was a kid, my dad used to, my late dad, may he rest in peace, ADP Johnny Hughes, he would pick us to Accra Central near the UTC rail line. Right. We'll pick a train and we'll ride from 7 a.m. We'll ride all the way through Park Row, all the way to Nsawam and go and drop. Then we'll go and walk through the town a little, go and buy palm wine, sugar cane, and a couple of things, cocoyam. Then we'll bring it back to the train station by 12 and then we'll move. So by 11:45, 12, we're moving back to Accra. And it was such a fine ride, jolly. The toilets in the train was super. The seats were cool. The coaches were not wobbly. Right. Today, you can't say same. And we have a railway corporation. What exactly are they doing? And I asked my question I asked yesterday. When they leave home, those are the railway corporation, and the minister designates for railway, the minister in charge of railway, Honorable Joe Gatti. When they bath and they eat breakfast and they leave home, they tell their wife and their children they are going to work. What do they go to work to do? What do they go to work to do?
Anyway, Johnny, you said that was your final thought, so now it's time to rant.
Yes, we're ranting. We're ranting about police insurance. Yes, police. Some 50,000. Well, okay, so is it an assurance of our insurance that when the police is insured, we'll be insured? Enjoy this.
I just feel like being a police officer right now. Ask me why. The IGP has announced a 50,000 cedi insurance cover for all police officers across the country. The initiative is in line with the transformation agenda, which places the welfare of the officer as an administration priority. Should a police officer die in line of duty, the education of his or her 3 children will be catered for from nursery to the tertiary level. Is this in a way going to, reduce corruption and increase productivity in any way? This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking. We all cannot, underrate the effort of the police service in ensuring peace and order in the country. And for me, I think with this 50,000 insurance cover, it's more like a laudable initiative. I don't know about you.
Yes, it's a step in the right direction. It's very good. I mean, I'm directly more like a beneficiary of this in a way because, of course, my dad is a police officer. And I stand to say that over the period, I'm not really privy to this because unfortunately my dad is not dead or has not suffered any disability in line of duty. Yeah. But I've heard of a couple of stories where people lose their husbands, people lose their fathers, who are police officers and they are in line of duty or something happens to them. And unfortunately, for them to even get support from the police for their funeral organizations and all that, sometimes it becomes very challenging. You understand? And so I think this is laudable enough. At least the IGP has been very thoughtful of their welfare. And it's supposed to motivate them to give in their very best. So yeah, it's cool.
I think it's a good move, Every job should have a good condition of service. So it makes it lucrative. It makes it welcoming. It's a source of motivation too. And the perfect, from theories or from examples worldwide, motivating your staff is a great factor which can lead them to improve upon their productivity levels, among other things. So I think it's a good move. But I just pray it is well managed, you know. It is well managed, that it doesn't favor others and others are not being left out. You know, this is Ghana. Yeah, you have issues with managing stuff.
It's a wonderful idea by His Excellency, the President of Ghana.
You are politics, you this guy.
No, there's no politics. The President has really done well. And kudos to the IGP too, Mr. David Asante. Yeah. Actually, intrinsic motivation is going to help the police and give out their best.
Exactly.
So as perhaps crime rates and other social vices also be on the minimum. And I just pray they cut off that Jara 1 city, 2 city.
But you know, come to think of it, whether it's going to motivate them or not, I even think we shouldn't be thinking about that. You know, every job should have a good condition of service. That is what should be there. So I think it's even late. This should have been done way
exactly.
back.
Longer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's been way overdue.
Yeah.
One very important point is that it shouldn't only be for the police. What about the military? What is happening with the army, with the prison service, the other security service? Not even them alone. I mean, move to other places. Even the private enterprises. What are they doing for their staff? They need some insurance.
I think the military.
Well, perhaps
they've got a way they manage their staff. The military.
It should be one step at a time. To start definitely from a point before it moves on. So starting with the police service, I think it's okay. And no matter what you do, you can't take the credit away from them.
Okay, and then you know, with this whole motivation, it increases productivity. So I think that time has come where you would even see a policeman, okay, I'm giving you 1 city for, you know, engaging in a crime. And the police will go like, I'm not interested, I have an insurance cover.
You know, motivation does increase productivity. But then motivation isn't solely monetary. Sometimes you can give your employees a lot of cash and they wouldn't still be motivated. Because they actually know what they need. This, I wouldn't call it a direct motivation. I'll just call it something we have to do. We ought to do it. You understand? There are other things you can do for them that will actually motivate them. With the bribery stuff, you know, it's sometimes I don't see it to be their fault. Sometimes you meet them.
We talk battery.
You know, you meet them. You say, "Master, I better battery."
You know, this whole thing you guys are saying. After you asked the question, I've been quiet for almost a minute or two now. I've just been trying to figure out if really this is going to have any effect at all on some of these practices. But frankly, I don't know how it's even going to reflect a change. Because, I mean, trust me, most of the monies that they end up taking are money that they take for interim stuff. You know, they need the money for something sharp. Maybe sometimes in the morning, they need to, you know, find something. Or even if in the evening, you know that thing. So, I mean, I find it very difficult to speak, you know, in that reference that this is going to have, is in a way going to even reduce, you know, the bribery issues with it.
We believe it's high time Ghanaians know that there's a difference between doing somebody a favor and something being deemed somebody. Something is the right of somebody. I think this is the right of, it's a benefit to them. It's not like the country or the government is doing them a favor. No. They work, and these conditions should be there. You know, so
let's. No one has said the government is kind of doing them a favor.
Ghanaians perceive things like this.
We all know. For all you may know, they deserve much more.
Point out of this.
Not that they will score. They have scored that point already. It's something you can't change. You can't change the fact that they are going to take a point out of. They're probably taking the point. And perhaps the police even deserve much more better than the 50,000 giving them. You get it? So it's not about government taking points and this should be done overdue. In this country, actually, a lot of things should have been done long ago. But hopefully, it's now at least Ghana is now working again. The president is trying to put things together for Ghana to work again.
Ghana has been working since.
No. Ghana has it. Ghana has it.
You are telling me he's continuing.
Unless you tell me Ghana is working every day, but at this place that Ghana is working now. Sure, exactly. Not my subject. Things are very clear. Things are very clear.
Like I said, this is not a motivation. I don't see this as a motivation.
But in your beginning submission, you did mention there's a motivation.
I said not a motivation.
Motivation, we can have positive and negative motivation.
It's long overdue. You get what I mean? For him, I think it should have been done long time.
Even if it should have been 1,000 years ago, now it's in existence. That's what's important.
Okay, let's look at, fighting crime. if you're motivated, you give out your best. Exactly. And so it means that there are going to be reduction in crime cases and all that. I think.
That's, well, to some extent, it can. But this wouldn't reflect directly. Because you see, this is something for their benefit. Like I said, there's a difference between doing them a favor and something that ought to come to them. So if you want to say directly it should drastically reduce crime, it's like, why you know, so it's other things. This can contribute to it, but there are other things they should put in place. Your dad is a police officer, so you can tell us a lot of these things.
You know, that one is just going to, kill the dad and take the one. Because 25,000.
I mean, that money there, if I get it, I'm sure some Cameroon will be able to come but on a more serious note, truth is that the police officers are human beings like every other person, and they also have conscience. Apparently they'll fight crime when they have to. Not because, it's only their duty, but because just like you will not really enjoy a scene where someone in a vulnerable state is being taken advantage of by some other person with a gun or something, you get it? Obviously, they wouldn't also want to see such a situation. Certain crimes like robbery, highway robberies and the likes, I know they will surely go a very long way to counterbattle it. But the only problem I have with some of these motor traffic crimes and the likes, I wonder how this is going to reflect in any way or means. Because at the end of the day, if you are driving and you don't, maybe your insurance is dead or something, in a way the police officer is like, okay, no problem. Once you're not going to knock anybody down, just give me something and go. And it makes it. You get it. So I don't know, but in a way, well, yes.
It's a good move.
It's a good move, exactly.
Other things should be put in place, and they move together. You understand?
Definitely, this is going to increase their work rate and productivity as well. Sure, like as my learned colleague rightly said, this kind of highway robbery that are going to counter battle. Yes, it's very true. And perhaps in the next couple of months, you are going to see this in their kind of service they provide to the general public.
Okay. So. Okay, for me, I'm not an expert in, let's say, insurance. But look at this. If the officer dies in the line of duty, it means that the education of 3 of his or her children will be catered for. 50,000 from nursery to tertiary. 50,000.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just.
With insurance, they have ways these things work.
Okay.
Exactly. When you look at many insurance packages, okay, it's more like investments. Many insurance packages are like investment. You subscribe with some amounts, and then they use it for business so that it grows. And then in time, there is a seed capital line somewhere which is yielding some fruits for you, and it's being used to sort out some things. Don't you also forget, Ghana police have basic schools. I don't know how many, but I think they have some in Tamale and in Accra Airport. And then the army also have basic schools, Abema Camp and the like. In a way, if they are able to collaborate, if they are able to put their heads together, these things will be cheap.
Well, this is more like a great news to the entire police officers in the country. The announcement of a 50,000 cedi insurance cover for all the personnel. This is what we've been discussing this morning. If you want to partake in this discussion, just log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's News on TV3, and on Twitter, it's at News TV3. Thanks for watching, and keep watching NewDay.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. The Ghanaian Times says 14 quack doctors arrested this year. GMO food safe to eat, according to a scientist. And Ekweadonko arrested for fraud. Government set to combat cybercrime. That's the president speaking. The Daily Graphic says auction of 6 billion Ghana Cedis energy sector bond starts today. Tema Accra train derails at Alajo. 1 land, 2 lords as another Gamanche installed. The Daily Guide this morning says Nana raises concern over Sakawa. Train crashes at Tesano. Probe NDC chair over missing 1 million cash. Bokeh report reveals. The Ghana Palava says America destroys KT Hammond's rescission propaganda. Akufo-Addo flawed policy leaves SHS education in shambles. And Ekudjato Ablakwa is asking National Media Commission, where are you? The Daily Statesman, Kwawu West Assembly to introduce electronic billing system, and Ghana to get National Cybersecurity Center, according to the President. Government to revive one child, one computer policy. The Custodian says Indum quits frontline politics, says Charlotte Osei is a saboteur. And the Finder newspaper says cybersecurity crucial to national digitization efforts. President GRA chases Vodafone over 160 million Ghana cedis tax liabilities. And finally, the Heritage this morning says rail company to cough 24,000 Ghana cedis to move the rail train to Tesano. Accra, Nsawam operations suspended. And on the funny side, well, Basti's punches dazed me. That's according to Bukom Bank, of course. The man is still perhaps in shock. But my guest this morning to do the conversation is the legal practitioner, member of the NDC's communication team, Abraham Maleba. Honorable, welcome.
Morning.
And the Honorable Henry Kwabena Kokofo is the CEO of the Forestry Commission as well, Chief.
That's Sir John's position.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Apologies about that. Well, yeah. Cyril said you were.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, he was swept.
Yeah. He was swept.
He was swept. Yeah, Nana swept him.
Oh no.
He was supposed. He was bailed.
It's my senior brother, Sir John, who's running there.
Okay. So yours is. Yours is.
He's waiting for a share.
Yeah, I'm a communication team member for New Patriotic Party.
Okay.
A former MP for Bantama.
Okay.
And a senior partner in a law firm called Systems Legal Consult.
Right. So no appointments yet?
I don't know what you mean by appointment.
Well, I mean, but it says you were swept. So
oh no,
don't mind him.
Yeah, don't get that.
Anyway, so cyber crime is on the ascendancy. Let me start with you, Lawyer Maleba. Have you had a personal experience with cyber crime?
Let me start by saying good morning to your viewers. To be honest with you, I have little knowledge in these things. I actually have not encountered personally some of these crimes with internet facilities and all those things. But I think that I am aware that it's been a matter of national concern.
Right.
I know people have been busted for engaging in those acts. I know young boys and girls get involved in such criminal acts, and I know that people have fallen victim to such acts. In our local parlance, they will say it's a sakawa. I think that is it. Young men and young women spend time at cafes, internet cafes, trying to hoodwink unsuspecting persons.
Right.
And they succeed in doing that. I think it's a good idea to want to stem the tide. But what I know is that the police is ill-equipped to deal with such crimes because of its technical nature.
Okay, is that it? Because Chief Superintendent Gustav Yankson, I spoke with him, he's the head of the cybercrime unit, says, well, they're making strides.
Yeah. If they were, we would have seen a reduction in the crime. The fact that there's still a rise in this crime suggests to me that probably the police lacks the capacity. It is a new area. Conventional policing did not have this in mind. And so this is an entirely new area that the police is also now venturing into and trying to ensure that it stamps its authority.
Okay.
They need to be resourced. We need to employ people with the necessary skills and background in IT to be part of the security services, and by so doing we'll be able to stem the tide. But for now, I do not think that the police has a grip on this crime. Yeah.
Interesting. So the president says we'll get a cybersecurity center that would look at some of these things. In South Africa, we're told of large numbers of this kind of crime, and our situation in Ghana is no different. One key concern is now that we're digitizing everything, the exposure that we may have and the challenges that come with it. Are you worried as well?
Good morning to your cherished viewers, my people in the Central region and Bantama, of course, and to the President of the land, the entire leadership of our country. We thank God for their lives and wisdom to govern for us. Yes, indeed, it's a worry to all of us, not only in Ghana, in Africa, and globally. For the past 3 months, the global recordings of cyber attacks or cyber crimes, if you like, has been quite tremendous. And it has put governments all over the world on their toes as to make sure some of these things are nipping the bud.
Okay.
If you look at the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, goal number 9, if you go to the targets individually, basically it is asking for infrastructure, resilient infrastructure building, industrialization, sustainable ones, and then innovation, science and technology. So it is simply saying that by 2030, countries and nations across the world must be able to have firm, resilient infrastructures in place. And if you're talking about infrastructure, you can leave out ICT infrastructure, information communication technology infrastructure. It is very much needed for our developmental agenda if we are going to have sustainable development for ourselves. So ICT has become a core tool, one of the core tools that drives development. And here we are, the entire world is being abused. Well, we see it, we of the reasonable man thinks it's being abused. The other man on the other side thinks it's an opportunity, it's a gray area where he can apply his expertise to it and then make sure he make a gain, which is illegal, which is a crime.
Right.
But criminals, as we have, we always want to find a loophole. And as much as ICT broadens our horizon, science and technology is giving us the impetus to develop ourselves both individually and nations across. It is also offering these criminals a major tools to perpetuate.
For example, mobile money. Have you heard about? Have you heard the stories going around?
Yes, mobile money fraud and all that. And all these things came on board when the president launched the World Cyber Crime Week at the International Conference Center, and he was trying to put it across that yes, the government is aware of all these things, and we need to make sure we move with the world in the fight against cybercrime. So if you reckon, there's an interministerial committee that has been formed by the government to see to cyber security. And we have the Minister for Security himself on board, the Minister for Communications is there, the Minister of Defense is there, and I think, one major minister is also there. So it is reassuring that the government is not, the president and the government are not sleeping on their oaths, and we are not saying these things are going on, so we need to throw our hands in despair. Things must be put in place. And just as my senior colleague was saying, the police and other units of the policing systems that are supposed to combat crime and even prevent crime, the first point should be prevention. Try to prevent some of these things. Are they really up to the task?
Okay.
Because the traditional policing systems, if you look at our recruitment procedures, what we look for, who can be recruited into the police service, ICT knowledge and all those things have never been there. However, there is the drafting of these professional expertise in the security agencies and all kinds of things. So we will urge the IGP and his men, the management and the government to try to have a second look at the recruitment procedures of the police. If quickly, they have avenues for medical professionals to join. They have avenues for other professionals to join. And I think surely they will have avenues for...
They already have a cybercrime unit That's the understanding we have.
Yes, of course, you may have the unit, but are they properly well equipped with the necessary expertise and all kinds of things? And here we are. We have these young men and women out there who have either through genius or through readings and courses and all that, they've equipped themselves with these ICT facilities. One may say that there are no jobs for them to do that, they're engaging in this Sakawa and co, but it's never true. Okay. I don't think it's
right. Thank you. Amala, final thought on this one. Mobile money, I'm sure you've had some of the complaints as well, is a major issue. People send monies and sometimes they are told to send the money back, sometimes they are told the money can't be traced and all those issues. Have you heard about them?
Sure. With the advent of mobile money transfer, it was seen as something that has come to, alleviate the plight of the ordinary man, because it was handy. If you needed to send money quickly, you didn't need to go to the bank. You could just by the roadside get some vendor, and then you send the money quickly to the old lady or the old man in the village. So it was seen as a welcome news and as a savior. But reports that we are now receiving, and these reports, we are told, are reports of persons who are working within the system, who have taken advantage of their knowledge and their know-how in the area to, as it were, take monies that don't belong to them. In other words, virtually, one would say stealing monies that does not belong to them. I think that it's a worrying report, and I also think that there's a need to clamp down on these persons. What this would do is that it's going to bring about apprehension if one is sending money, and so eventually the number of people sending money through the mobile phone system will reduce.
Who do we blame?
We would blame for this one, we'll blame the mobile phone network, the telcos who have the system and whose system has been breached by their own workers. But you see, the larger picture is that these things are done by the youth. How do we redirect the energies of the youth in the sense that they are knowledgeable in IT, they have the technical skill in IT, they are using it wrongly? How do we redirect their skills to be of benefit to the society? Rather than using the skills to steal people's monies, why can't we have a program that will target the youth to reorientate them to use those same skills for the proper development of this country? There have been, it's a similar case with the small arms. We say there are people manufacturing small arms, and it is their livelihood. And these youth too have seen an avenue where they think that that's a way of getting something at the end of the day. And so it is about their stomachs. So how do we, at this point, say that, look, we acknowledge your skills. Let's find an avenue for you to use your skills to be able to be beneficial to the society. If it is for them to be coming out of applications, and government can take those applications for its businesses, let's give the opportunity to them to reinvent their knowledge in an area that will be more beneficial to the country. And I think the government would want to look at that. That already, you don't even need to train them. They have the skills. All you need to do is to redirect them. In the area of applications, they can manufacture applications and all those things and give it to the various ministries to resolve their problems. At the moment, Kolebu says that they want something to be able to ensure that when you go there, they will be able to, when you are a patient and you are in there, there will be some system that will capture you at all the departments. I'm sure one of these guys will be able to come out with such an application if only we redirect them properly for them to be of benefit to the country. So I think that's another way of looking at it. And if the national security coordinator would want to look at this from that angle, redirecting the skills of the youth.
Right. Thank you. Let's move on. You can join us as always. 050-823-5228. That's our WhatsApp line. Let's read your thoughts.
If I may add just a
yes, 30 seconds for you.
Yes, the Interior Minister and then the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, they are also part of the team. And rightly so said by my colleague that there is a need to redirect energies in these areas, our youth, into productive sectors and all that. That is what the President actually said. And he's saying that, yes, the government has recognized these youngsters, youth in the system. They have these expertise and all that. And he even went on to say that the vulnerability of the younger ones giving away information voluntarily by themselves and not knowing the repercussions and all that, those things. So I think the proposal to set up the Cybersecurity system center is a very laudable one, and the authorities will surely have to look for these young men through the universities. And you know, recently, university at Koforidua, what do you call
All
it?
Nations.
All Nations University. They were able to send us to the orbit. I mean, it all boils down to science and technology, innovation that we critically need for national development. But we have got to channel those energies and expertise into productive areas.
Right. Thank you very much. Let's move on to other stories, and you can find it on most of the front pages. But page 16 of Daily Graphic says Tema Accra train derails at Alajo. And it says about 100 passengers on board a train heading to Accra from Tema were yesterday thrown into a state of shock when the train derailed from its track at the Alajo train station. We were told that a quick check on the Alajo rail tracks revealed that the weakened nature of the tracks, erosion coupled with squatters around the tracks, has made the tracks a death trap. So the regulations are clear. The buffer zone is supposed to be, it used to be 150 feet away from the tracks, then it was reduced to 100. If you go to the Nkrumah Circle, I'll show you some photos later. It is not even 2 feet apart. People are building and everybody is watching. Did we see this coming?
We may not have seen it coming, but it was coming.
Explain.
If we are supposed to live like 150 feet and there's encroachment, and gradually this encroachment comes close to the railway line, you will not know when it will come, but it will definitely come. Yes. So once you breach the law of nature, the next thing is an accident. So once we are negligent, and public servants who have been entrusted with the resources of this country to manage various sectors of the economy are not doing the right things, sure, this will definitely happen. If you give human beings the free will to do what they want, they would behave in ways that you will not expect a fellow human being to behave in that way. And that's why there are laws. It's because of the unpredictability or unpredictable nature of the human being. That is why laws are put in place.
But in this case, the laws are not being applied.
That's what I'm saying. I'm coming there. So the laws have been put in place to check the behavior of human beings. Now, there's somebody who is supposed to enforce the law. Where is that person in this scheme of affairs? Where is he? So, I will not blame human beings or Ghanaians who have encroached. Because if there are no laws, people behave the way they want. There are people who respect the law because it is an innate thing to be respectful. There are some who respect the law because of the pain or fear of being punished. Now, if people are encroaching towards the railway line and nothing is being done, and we've seen it over the years, this was surely going to happen, but when, we didn't know, but it had happened anyway. That brings me to the ministry that has been created. I think this is the only railway line that is very active. So you create a whole ministry with only one railway line. What is the sense in that? Is that not dissipation of national resources? You would expect that even with this one railway and the line, the ministry will have been up and doing. But come see the whole ministry in place. But look at what has happened. And so I think that we have misplaced priorities as a nation. We do not focus on the things that will benefit us. We rather would want to look the other way, and things happen, and then we come back and say that we want to rectify it.
The announcement of Honorable Joe Gate as Minister for Railways, I mean, the President had said that it was to develop the railway system. I remember particularly they mentioned from Takoradi to Paga was one of the main lines they were going to create, and then improve what we have. So is it right to say that we created a ministry with just one railway line?
You create a ministry to oversee the sector, because that sector is in place. What we have done is to create a ministry that will now establish the structures. But if we had allowed that ministry to be part of the roads or transport, whichever, as it used to be, and then gradually put in place the structure, then we can now hive it off and say, now you can stand on your own.
So you are saying that the creation of the railway ministry is unjustifiable?
It is unjustifiable because...
But there are rail lines in Takoradi.
These facilities are no more functional. These facilities do not exist any longer. You are now creating a ministry to come and establish the structure. And I'm saying that you don't give, with little resources, you don't give resources to a ministry that has no infrastructure, that has no structures to begin with. What you do is to attach it to an existing ministry that would help to put in place the foundation of that ministry. Then when you now come, you'll be able to take off. But I've just told you, what justifies what I'm saying is this. You've created a ministry, you only have one railway line that is active, but even that ministry is unable to ensure that this railway line is efficient.
Let me ask you, while we will recognize that this problem didn't start today, I'd ask you, under the erstwhile NDC administration, we had the Railway Development Corporation. I remember that engineer, Dr. Dan Markin,
the oldest engineer.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And this was acting.
He was there as boss. And these situations still pertain. Remember that it's not just encroachment. We're talking about weak sleepers, the planks in between, they had rotting, erosion had gotten to some places and all of that. So it's an amalgamation of challenges. Is it fair now to just narrow it to the creation of a new ministry? We had a Railway Development Corporation, an authority later on.
This policy of sending a railway line from Accra to Paga did not start now under this administration. In the Kufuor administration, there was that plan. Did it materialize? I am not by this absolving the NDC government and saying that it was well under the NDC government. This is a sector that has been neglected for far too long. In fact, workers in that sector have gone on demonstrations several times. They go 5 months, 6 months without salary. So it's an area that has been neglected for far too long. And I'm saying that if you then create a ministry, the ministry must oversee a sector. This sector does not exist. would we want to gradually put in place the structure and now appoint a ministry or hive it off from the other one that it was attached to so that it can now stand on its feet? But you've appointed a minister. The minister is supposed to oversee that area. That area does not even exist.
What do you recommend?
And when that area does not exist,
what do you recommend?
You are wasting taxpayers'
Lawyer
money.
Malva, what do you recommend?
I'm recommending that that ministry be merged with the roads, or is it highways? It was to the roads or so. And then you give a deputy minister a special responsibility. That deputy minister will be deputy minister for that. The ministry is going to be merged. You leave that minister alone to focus on that area. Put in place the necessary infrastructure. When there's the foundation, then you can now hive it off and give it a ministerial status.
Okay. Honorable Kokofu, this has exposed the cracks in our railway system, but Honorable Amaliba raises, Lawyer Amaliba raises key questions about the fact that the ministry is not necessary and all of that. While we look at that, I would also like us to look at the cracks in between: squatters, encroachment, erosion, the sleepers going bad, and all the matters that come with it.
Yes, I think we need to do some kind of education here, and I wish we have ample time to do that. Let me begin by asking, were there any casualties?
Yes, seven injured.
Oh,
7 injured.
Okay, we wish them early recovery. And I was watching your program, and you asked, what does Honorable Yogati get to office to do?
No, not just him. I was asking entirely.
I'll answer you too. You see, we are in a situation where we always want to play ostrich. And instead of confronting challenges and problems as they come headlong, and then find lasting solutions to them, we do that ad hoc, knee-jerk kind of things, and we pretend that we're doing something.
In this situation, what are you talking about?
Here we are. We have a government in place. We have a president who has a clear-cut vision, a vision that is enjoined to the global thinking of development, sustainable development. And I've told you that Sustainable Development Goal 9 is talking about infrastructure. A railway system is a major infrastructure when it comes to transportation in any developed country. So in developing, you need a very robust, reliable, resilient railway system. And come to think about it, what we are experiencing today is exposing the whole country to what I usually call systemic failure of state institutions, thinking and planning through what we need and what we have got to do. NDC had been in government for 8 years, slept on their oaths, and thought things would just get on as it should be. For 8 years, we've seen continuation of neglect of the system. That means to say, from time immemorial, we've been neglecting the system. But NDC's administration did the worst things and killed the industry.
How do you mean?
Now he's saying
How
that...
do you mean?
What I mean is, you heard him saying that the sector is even non-existent. That is what they bequeathed to this government.
No, so I'm asking...
A poor railway systems, that is not working.
Hold on.
And now, I'm coming.
Hold on. I'm sure you want to make your point, but
yes, I'm making a point.
I also want to ask my questions.
If you had allowed me to
I want to ask my question.
I heard you
made
okay, go ahead.
So I will ask a question. My question is that when you mean that they collapsed it, how exactly do you mean?
Okay, I will explain it to you. He just said it. He said it is non-existent.
And then I asked him that, well, there was a corporation, they brought an authority, and they put engineer marking there.
So would you allow me to answer your question? When J.J. Rawlings, the former president, handed over power to His Excellency J.A. Kufuor at that time, there was a railway running sector, even though it wasn't the much to be desired of. When J.A. Kufuor, His Excellency, was handing over power to His Excellency J.E.A. Mills, there was a railway system running that was not up to what we all desired. Then it has run through. 9 months into handing over to a new government. Now a colleague coming from that government is telling us that the sector is even non-existent. That is what he's saying, and he has said it. And he admits that the sector has been collapsed to a point that he can rightly say it is non-existent.
Do you agree with him, his assertion, that the sector is non-existent?
Of course, that is what he's saying. And now we have a new government who says, no, we will not allow the road to go on. We will want to put up pragmatic efforts. We want to show commitment that we are bringing back the railway system, whether it's collapsed, whether it is ailing, whether it is whatever.
What is it? Is it collapsed? Is it ailing? Is it non-existent? What is it, Honorable Kokofo?
All of them.
No,
all of them. So now, I am answering the question why the rationale why the president decided in his own wisdom to put up the railway ministry. Right. Yes, okay. And I'm answering you. And I'm answering you what you expect the Honorable Jogate and men at the ministry to be doing. I'm answering those questions. Now, the president puts up this ministry, puts up a minister there to put together a comprehensive plan whilst we are revamping and going to maintain, develop whatever there is there. We need to also bring on board new. And don't forget, the railway sector is a highly capital intensive sector. And we do know now that the public-private partnership initiatives is what is trending world over. You try to package your program, your projects and activities, and roll private capital into the system so you develop a resilient and robust infrastructure that can withstand the test of time. And that is sustainability. And you don't do so by putting such a major situation under a unit of another ministry where a lot has to be done. In any case, we have had that one. What he prescribed. You asked him, what is his suggestion? And he said we should merge it with another ministry. We take it back to Ministry of Transport so it will be there, and then we put the structures. That is what we've been doing over the years. And you don't do all things the same way and expect new results. This government is focused. This president knows what he wants. This president knows the vision. And it is not about Vision Ghana alone. It is incorporated into the global development agenda, sustainable development goals. So everything this government is doing, if you do not have the understanding, if you do not have the vision, you may think it's a waste of time. Let me ask you this. Actually not quickly. Necessary, but soon, Ghanaians will all be seeing the rare changes that we preach.
Let me ask you this quickly, Honorable Kokofo.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I had a chat with the Accra mayor.
Yeah.
The former mayor, Dr. Okova Ndapoy, had gone to do some demolition around the Circle Alajo area. The squatters are back. And in fact, when Nia Jesowa came, he also had to go and do demolition. So I asked him, you spent money to send the people away, and they are back. What are you doing about it? He said the land belongs to the Railway Corporation. And so if we use our money to send the people away and they don't take over, we cannot keep spending our money. In fact, they are supposed to be giving us money to be doing that work for them. Ever since Honorable Joe Gatti got into office or got sworn in, the squatters are becoming a multiple of what used to be. Is there a plan? Do you know if there's a plan to take them away? Because you are a lawyer. You know the essence of the law. 100 feet is the buffer zone. If you go to Circle, it's not even 2 feet apart. And that's worrying, is it not?
Very much. And that is another systemic failure in enforcement of our laws.
But we have a minister.
I'm
a minister in charge of a system.
You've asked me a question. Allow me to answer you. Yes, we have. The minister is in place. Now, what is critical? And you asked me something. You said, do I know of a plans how to get them out? Yes, truly. There's a plans. There are ongoing negotiations to bring on board this development of the railway systems. As soon as contracts are signed and constructions are to begin, sometimes you don't need even to go there and drive people around. The contractor comes on board, try to barricade the places and all that, automatically you yourself, you have to...
When is this construction beginning?
Well, I do not have the authority to disclose any timelines.
Right.
It is with the ministry. But I'm giving you a general information that...
You see, I appreciate your general information. But what happened yesterday, for example, Touchwood, I mean, luckily, it didn't happen at a densely populated area. But if it had happened at a densely populated area, we would have lost people.
Exactly.
So then, it's a major concern for us.
Yes.
And so 9 months down the line, the squatters are still there, erosion is happening, the sleepers are weak, and the situation
it is not 9 months ago that it started. It has been with us, the failure.
But we expect to see change.
Yes, we expect. And I've enumerated it to you. I've said it is not a project you just pick 2, 3, 4 million Ghana cedis, you go in there. It's highly capital intensive. And negotiations are far advanced to bring in this investment. What I agree with you is that in the interim, in the short term, what needs to be done? And I think we need to go back to the whole exercise of regulations, enforcing the law. The district assemblies and all, they all have very, very critical role to play in this. And the railway system, the land, if you go to Kumasi, it's virtually taken over. It's been virtually taken over. So, yes, the authority and the ministry must cooperate with the district assemblies and all those public entities so that we get these people out of the place once and for all. And we, the citizenry, we need to understand in simple terms. Yes, we need to work. Yes, we need to trade. But we need to follow the rules and regulations. He rightly said that if human beings as we are, if you give us our free will, we always misbehave and do what outside the norm. So then the enforcement comes in. We should not be looking too much for these things to happen before we start acting. We need to.
When do we
Today,
hope?
Tomorrow, yes.
You're closer to power.
Yes.
Would you make a commitment to us, my viewers, as well?
Yeah.
When we could perhaps whisper a word to Honorable Joe Gatting.
You did not hear me. I said, if you want me, I will repeat it. I said, now the ministry and then the railway authority, together with the other public entity, particularly the local governments, the district assemblies and other, they need to come up.
You're talking about the ideal situation. I'm saying, are you going to make a commitment to us that, okay, you have Honorable Joe Gatting's number?
Yes, of course. I'll get
you. You make a phone call to him and tell him this is it. Because in the Ashanti region, for example, the rail lines are running through the market. If you go to the eastern region, they are running through the market.
Let me assure you, the minister is on top of this. Yes. All that we can do is
your assurance is to make a phone call. Are you going to make a phone call?
I'll drive to the office.
Okay.
He's my senior. He's my everything.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. He's a role model.
Right.
You know. I'll get to the office, discuss, then we see practical things happening.
So Honorable Kokofu will drive to Honorable Joe Gatting's office, tell him about our concerns, and hopefully we'll get it.
Yes, on this program. Yes, I'll communicate with you.
Yes,
the point
one minute for you, then we'll move on.
The point I've been making all this while is that with the creation of a new ministry for that sector, one would have expected some improvements in that area.
The improvements will come.
And 9 months, almost 10 months, there is no sign of any improvement. You have just enumerated the issue of just hawkers or squatters. And if in the past, these squatters were there because there was no ministry, now that there's a ministry, we expected that site, that scenery will be out for us to know that the ministry is working. So you've created a new ministry, but we are not seeing changes. That has been the thrust of my submission this morning on this matter.
Okay, but let me help my colleague. You see,
does he have a genuine concern?
Well, of course, yes. People want to see the expectation. You know, we are craving for development. Sometimes we cloud our consciences with political and politisms and all kinds of things. But then the bottom line is between himself and myself and you, we all want development for our country, and we want to see governance brought to the people, and then the people enjoy what they need to do, so that they can in turn do what needs to be done for the state.
Anyway.
And so, as much as I agree with you, you just keep your fire a little bit. For 8 years, nothing properly happened in the industry. So for 9 months, for 10 months, you are in a hurry. Don't worry.
Politicization won't take us anywhere.
No, of course, there's no politics in here. Because it's timelines. He mentioned 10 months, and I'm mentioning 8 years past. I mean, so it's a comparison, no problem. It is the word of politicism, but then the truth must be told that something that has gone that bad, bringing it back requires time, resources, energy.
We need some more time to discuss some issues.
You know what I'm talking about. You are a tree-speaking person.
Okay. Say it in your dialect. Anyway, auction of 6 billion Ghana cedis energy sector bond starts today and will be traded on local bonds. And we're told that the auction of the 6 billion cedi denomination energy sector bond is set to begin today as the government seeks to fund to refinance the huge energy sector debt, which seems to be crippling the banking sector. And we have over 200 investors who participated in the roadshow yesterday, and the enthusiasm for all of them was remarkable. The bond is open to both local and offshore investment. So, Honorable Kokofu, I'll start this one with you. This, many say, has kept long in coming, and finally it's here. Will it change anything?
Yes, I'm happy. I'm happy with the last sentence. Long coming, and finally it's here. The railway system, long coming, one day to be with us. You see, I must confess, when it comes to these financial things and all other things, I'm a bit deficient in there. However, I'll try my best to get it. During the campaign and in our manifesto, for the president's vision for the energy sector, we kept on saying, and indeed it was the same, my big man who is the minister now, who was running the show for us, explaining our policies and all that. And we made it clear that Nana Akufo-Addo then, the candidate then, appreciates the challenges within the energy sector. And the most nagging one had to do with debt burdens. VRA is owing, Gridco is owing, Ghana Gas is owing, ECG is owing, and together all the banks are being owed, and it became a very critical thing. So we said we will fence all these debts and then find a more congenial way to service the debt once and for all, and we give ourselves clean sheet and we move on. And this is where we are. And the most interesting aspect, people were asking then, where are you going to find the money? They still do not have money. But there is a huge chunk of private capital sitting globally and even internally that needs to be tapped and mobilized. So when you look at some of these things, it is in simple terms trying to rope in the private sector with the private capital to invest in infrastructure, invest in innovation, invest in some of these areas. So now we are talking about energy infrastructure and the private sector through the PPP arrangement. And indeed, I must commend the NDC government, the past government, because they made the PPP a major tool as a development program, the public-private partnership. So this government comes, the president comes and say, yes, the public-private partnership needs to be entrenched. We must look at the energy sector in its whole terms and then find ways where we can bring in the private sector to tap into their capital market that are so huge. So I can only say kudos to the government and to the minister, the sector minister. However, there must be caution here that we need to make sure due diligence are made. So whatever gains that may come out of this may be sustained, and it must be in the supreme interest of the whole country, so that once and for all we can have our energy sector sanitized and a very cheap tariffs follows.
Will this change anything? 6 billion energy sector bond, it starts floating today. Will it change anything at all in your to the promises that the NPP made prior to coming into government or the energy issues? Will anything change?
The hypocrisy is what I want to talk about.
Explain.
You know, the previous government put in place the ESLA, the Energy Sector Levy Act.
Right.
Now, the MPP in opposition described this levy as nuisance tax and promised the people of Ghana that if they won elections, they would take it off. As we speak, we are yet to have a launching of the removal of the nuisance tax.
Are you expecting it?
Yes, because it's a promise.
Token.
So we are expecting, every policy of they launch. So we are expecting a launch of the removal of ESLA. And up to now, they've not removed it. You know that this ESLA is a key component for their for this bond, because the bond is going to be guaranteed by the ESLA. Now, the question I want to ask is, if you demonized the energy sector levy and made it look like it was a burden on Ghanaians and succeeded in getting Ghanaians to vote the NDC out, why would you now come to power, and that's a hypocrisy, why would you now come to power and take full benefit of that same levy to go and float a bond? The hypocrisy, the deception, the lies of this government. So we had a different system. We said that, look, we would use the ESLA and pay the banks. The banks would take the responsibility to pay off the energy sector loan. Then we, as we collect the levies, we'll be giving it to the various banks. And that was agreed by about 5 or 6 banks.
And the MPP said that was crippling the banks.
Crippling the banks, and said that it was wrong. And that when they come, they will scrap it.
Is this approach anything new?
We've been taking bonds. This is not new. All that I'm saying is that they are using the same energy sector levy as the guarantee for this bond. And I'm telling the people of this country to take a second look at them, because when they come to the people and they lie to the people, it is important for the people to hold them accountable. You said you were going to scrap it, but now what are you doing? You are rather entrenching it and using it.
A certain 2% of it was reduced when the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, went to Parliament earlier this year to read the budget.
Did that make the what is it, lies bill lower than our rent? It didn't. You remember Nana Akufo-Addo himself went to La and said that the lies bill were higher than people's rent. So if you are talking about 2% removal from the bill, I'm asking the question, did that therefore make the lies bill lower than the rent? It didn't. So Ghanaians are still asking, when would Nanado, the president who is interested in launching programs, launch the removal of the nuisance tax? That's what is important.
The energy sector levies.
Yes. Okay. They describe it as a nuisance tax.
Do we have a launch date?
For the removal of the...
You see,
that one to it will come.
You can make it look so simple and all that. When you've been in office and destroyed the basis of
but that was a promise.
Yes, it's a promise.
And Ken Ofori-Atta went to Parliament and reduced it by 2%.
So another time, a reduction will come.
So
another
in the supplementary budget will have another 2%. Is that what you're promising?
No, we don't need a supplementary budget now. We're going in for 2018 budget.
Right.
And November it's coming. I do not know what is in there. But you see, let me touch on that. This energy sector problem is one that is threatening the very foundation of our development. Industries were going down, banks are collapsing, and all those things. You did not have any concrete, long vision to solve that problem. All you needed to do was that ad hoc levy and all that. And we told you.
Ad hoc levy.
Yes.
So remove it.
Yes, and we told you that given the opportunity, we will have a sustainable plan, a plan that can be there, put in place to offset all these debts. And moving forward, then we can have breathing space to produce energy at a lower rate. And the production of energy at a lower rate will result in lower tariffs to come on board.
Let's take some messages here. Sky Walker from Takrady says, the law of the state should deal with Ikuadonko if she's found guilty. Greetings to Honorable Kobinab and Ajwa. Johnny, does it make sense for the government to be restoring allowances of teachers while those already trained are in the house? Please ask the government when will they post 2017 teacher trainees for the first time in the history of this country, when it is October and teacher trainees are still in the house. We are tired of staying in the house. Joseph in Kumasi is frustrated. Alasan Wanaiwa says, good morning to you and your viewers. The people of the Upper West region show their appreciation and thanks, Baraka, to the President for bringing free SHS and restoration of teacher nurses allowances. God bless Mr. President. Good morning, TV3. I think the setting up of the police insurance in the country is a good move, but where the problem is about the families of the deceased and widows, about who is going to take care of the children is a problem so far as this big money is concerned. So government should also make sure it monitors the children of the deceased, how they are being taken care of. Ismaila Horea in Ali in Nima. Well, there's 25, there's about 50% that goes to them, but you're saying it should be monitored. I agree with you. Good morning. Ghana is becoming a jack of all trades, a nation full of high voltage degrees, yet economic management and sanitation problems are not solved. A nation where exhibits of cocaine can get missing from a CCTV room, and this beautiful and God endowed, and the people are not told who the culprits are. The culprits are walking free, throwing their weightless weight about and being unpopularly popular. William in Ho. Good morning, TV3. Please, I want to know what is happening in the national service. What is holding September allowance up to date? Hello, Johnny. Senior Bright is there, so I'll just be Johnny. I'm Mohini Boating Samuel, aka boss from Kumasi, a regular and loyal viewer of TV3. Today marks my birthday, and I wish you could. Happy birthday to you, my brother. Happy birthday, enjoy. Says, good morning, TV3. You guys are really doing a good job. I wonder why newly trained teachers are still not posted to the various schools where there are no teachers. Meanwhile, the president is always talking about education. Good morning. I think the railway sector must be seriously looked at, and when restructured can bring competition to the road transport and influence the transport market. But Johnny, what is government doing with all the research work done by students at the tertiary level? That's a good question, Joshua Viel in Tansuman. And this visit of the minister is good because some roundabout in Kumasi is really causing a lot of accidents, especially the one in Kentikrono and Tech. Anochi in Kentikrono. Good morning, guys. Thanks for the good job being done. On the issue of mobile money fraud, it's left to the NCA to ensure they put their communications companies to get their network security tightened. These companies have a network security gap where information is being hacked to perpetrate crime. From RAT on the Spectres Road. I agree. Good morning for me. About the mobile money issues, the works in the MTN office or the workers in the MTN office know about it. You say it's an inside job. Happy birthday, TV3. It's been a while. Teacher trainees or 27 batch have completed. Okay, so it's about the same thing. You say you are home. Cybercrime has become a global concern, and there's little that the government can do to bring down this antisocial development act. The ICT is such that the more effort you put into combating one defect, the more sophisticated the perpetrators become. Sensitization and moral education is key. Creation of proper job opportunities, not politically motivated, and not a 9-day one, that can go a long way to put the youth under check. Your panelists, I believe, also have very little knowledge when it comes to such issues. Please bring people who have experience in subjects that you discuss. These politicians can talk, but provide no technical know-how about solutions. Go to Kofi Annan ICT Institute, AIT, and IPMC, and get a proper stakeholder as well. A big one there. We're having that conversation after sports on this network, so keep your dials on TV3 and we'll share with you. Good morning, Johnny. In fact, I'm enjoying your show today, but we are missing Senior Bright. Well, Senior Bright will come back on the show. He's up there in Wa doing some work. I want to state categorically that what the government simply wants to do on the issue of the Ameri deal is that it found that there's no value for money. So as far as the deal is concerned, so government would want to consider a review on that, and I think that the review may not be synonymous to revocation. Abdulrazak. Okay, so we'll deal with some of your messages after the break here on NewDay, but I want to thank you very much. Lawyer Abraham Amaleba is a legal practitioner and a member of the NDC's communication team.
It's not fair for one of the Texans to say that we did not have knowledge and we did not provide solutions.
Yes.
I propose that we should redirect the energies of the youth. And to my colleague, we constructed Secondary Takraje Kojo Krom Road without a minister.
Okay, real line. Okay, thank you very much, Amaleba, and thank you, Henry Kwabena-Kokov, who is is a legal practitioner and also a member of the MPP's communications. I thank you very much for your time, gentlemen, and have a great time. We'll return after this. Sports is up next, and we'll have that ICT conversation. But Bukom Banku is in the news. How did he take the punches? I couldn't watch them bout. Did you see it? What happened to him? Enjoy this.
No problem. Boss in there, you know that we have the lose and draw and win. I'm beating people. So when today somebody are beating me, that doesn't mean that I'm not a good boss. I'm prepared to come and fight, but I lost the fight, and I know that I lose the fight, but I'm going back to prepare myself to come and fight the return fight, because you know the time I fight, I hit the powers. I give on return fight in Kumasi. Well, I do mistake, but he win the fight, but I want to go back to correct my mistake to come again a return fight. But since I may accept the return fight, I want to tell all my fans, my enemies Ghana, that it's a good that I'm lose the fight is for learn more. You know what I'm saying? It's good that Buko Banku lost this battle to come back to learn more. I want to learn more about this fight. Yes.
Now you went on a very long stretch. For a very long time you had not lost, and then you've lost this one. How does that make you feel?
Oh, me, I don't feel bad. I don't feel anything. But see, I tell you that earlier, that you lose, you win, and draw. We have the three things into the boss. Well, if you today we go back and lose, I don't care anything about the lose. Do you understand me? Yeah. Me, I don't care anything. You know that bossing me and Basi Sameh from 1 to 6, I they lead. Yeah. I lead for the scorecard, but you know that every mistake in the new style, or if Basi Sameh are winning me, that doesn't mean that I'm not a good boss.
But you are the African Mayweather. That's why we are worried that you.
Oh, don't worry. I'm still African Mayweather. African Mayweather is my name. That doesn't mean somebody are beating you. They change your name.
But Mayweather never lost. That's why we are worried.
It's a word. I'm Africa. Well, doesn't mean no problem. But see there, you will lose. When you lose, you go back to correct our mistake. I accept my lose. I go back to correct my mistake.
But I mean, after the loss, when you went back home to Bukom, and how did they accept you?
All my fans say Banku, it's a game of chance. All my fans support me very well, and colleagues, they all support me very well. You understand? Yeah. But Azuma lose, I Kote lose, Joshua Kote lose, I all Matavi, the big men you know into the boss, everybody lose. Well, if today Buko Banku will lose, it doesn't mean that it's the problem for me. It's not. It's no problem for me. No problem. Yeah, it's my work. Yeah, it's my work. Yes.
Now let's come to more serious matters. Before the bout, you had to lose weight to get into Basti Sameh's weight division to be able to fight him. Was that the reason why you lost that?
Oh, it's not a too much reason, but the way I'm weighing is still fine. Because...
So it was part?
Yes. it's not that it means I make below or I lost the fight. No, I don't give any excuse. I don't give Ghanaians excuse. I lost the fight. I accept my love. I'm going to correct my mistake to come again. You know, I weigh 92 kilos and I weigh 86. Or below 5. Well, Basti is weighing more than me. You understand? Yeah, but it's not part of the. It's part of the game. Yeah. But it's no problem that when Basti win the fight and I give the weight excuse and the referee I don't understand that. The referee say the blood is coming, take me to the doctor, white corner, and they call the doctor. And doctor say, doctor is not checking me. He say when the blood is come, referee will stop the fight. It be my problem, because if you want Joshua Clottey and Koto, look at the Koto card, but still the fight. Look at my face, master. This is not the card. You understand? But I don't want to talk. But still he win. I'm going to correct my mistake. But
after the cut, you went back into the bout before he knocked you out. Yes. So I mean, I don't understand why.
You know, the time round 3 at the 4 down, I'm dazing. Yeah. I come round 4, round 5, round 6. I win that 3 bout, and the 7 and Basti come and and the referee says stop, and the referee call me. Anna, if he doesn't dare you, if he doesn't, referee go call you. You can go here, you can go here. It doesn't mean that you can't stand. This I don't understand. If somebody hits you and you fall down,
yeah.
Maybe you daze, you can still fight. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and referee say come. If you come, maybe you daze, or you can balance your. That doesn't mean that you are not fight. You understand me? Yes, accept my lose. I want to tell all my fans to keep quiet. Don't talk anything. I want to tell all the Ghanaians, but still win the fight. Accept my lose. Oh, I know. Do nothing.
Now you've been a local boxing champion for a very long time. You beat Michael Benga, you beat Flashy Bole and the rest in boxing. Now you've lost, and a lot of people are criticizing you. They say you are not good enough and all of that. How does that make you feel?
You know Ghana. You know Ghana. Maybe Blaster can win all the matches and go to the final. Final, if he win the Blaster, they know nothing. I look at the thing me I know Ghana. Ghana they are talking. Well, me I don't listen to anybody. I kill him my eardrum and I kill him my heart. If somebody see me, he's talking something, I don't care. I lose the fight. It's my work. The boss here they get money to eat. Win. Start beating people. Yeah. But if somebody beating me, is what? I'm a man. Basi is a man. Well, if somebody beating me, it doesn't mean that I'm not a good boss. I'm a good boss. I'm African Mayweather. I'm Bankuemba. Ghanaians. It doesn't mean that Basi is beating me. You forget me. Don't forget me. I'm still champion in Ghana. Do you understand?
Now the rematch is coming up.
Yes.
What are you going to do differently?
Master, that's what I tell you. I'm going back to correct my mistake.
With your coach?
Yes.
Wadada is ready for you?
Wadada is ready for the rematch. And Basi also accept the rematch. Yeah. Master, this is the card they left you, they stop the fight. I don't care. Basti win the fight. Thank God, anything Basti they want, God will do it for him. Anything me they want, God will do it. Yeah. But I want to tell all the Ghanaians, Basti, it's a game of chance. You win, you lose, you make a draw. All the big men there for the Ghana, they fight the boss. I quote Azuma, Nerison, Joshua, Clottey, Kikon, Abuko. They all get a lose. Well, if you go who get a lose today, that doesn't mean that I'm not the good. I'm the street champion.
Well, you heard Bukom Banku there says he's still the champion in local boxing in Ghana right here on NewDay. And the man is here to tell us what happened on Saturday at the Bukom Boxing Night. But Bukom, last one. What do you have for your fans? Oh, just tell your fans something.
I want to tell all
reassure them.
Yes, I want to tell all my fans in the nation that don't worry. A disgrace of okro is a cassava shame. Do you understand? When the river cannot flow into the forest, a river cannot flow into the forest without bringing down the trees. A disgrace of okro is a cassava shame. All my fans there for Ghana support me very well to go and fight, retain fight. Every lose if you lose, every draw is draw, every win you win. I want to tell all my fans in the nation that they can pray for me to be a world champion. I'm going to correct my mistake to come and retain fight March.
Well, you heard Bukom Banku there says he's going to correct his mistakes and he'll be back in March for the return fight. But that's how we end the sports segment here on NewDay. My name is Yao Ofosulabi. But Bukom, just give us a bit of your song, the one we played. Just sing along as we play the song for you.
Against Fuche. Against here, what you they do, you be the will loser. Don't you know Sebuko Banko be a winner? So every day we don't pray to Jehovah. Aou la la la, in la 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 la, against fuche, la la la, in la 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 la, against fuche. E papa kometo, ma fe anye da, kenye tomi se nye fitio mi da. O baba, obi baba, o te baba, jelu nilu nakanyungwe bominda. Nikoko noko enye lota omikra.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Jerry ye mini keba umwae. Beko bashe shunyami beche. I want to tell all the Bugo boys that they don't worry. All my fans, all my bad people, everybody say nothing about me. I thank everybody. I lose the fight. I'm going back to correct my mistake to come.
Thank you very much, Bugo.
But I thank for King Jerry. They are still the music in Kara. God will help King Jerry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bugo.
Welcome back. So if you're in Ghana, you know that the National Cybersecurity Week has been launched and has started, and we're still talking about it because in the advent where we want to push for digitalization of everything we do, we need to know about it and what we can do to protect ourselves. And speaking to me is Mr. Samuel Boateng. He's known as Dr. IT, and he's the CEO of Slam Technologies. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And welcome to New Day.
Thank you very much.
So let's start talking. For the layman, usually when these talks are going, it goes above the head of the normal, ordinary Ghanaian. But I'd like us to start from the basics. When we talk about cybersecurity, what are we talking about? What are we dealing with?
Well, talking about cybersecurity, we are talking about online presence, your information online, how you can protect them. And that is what we're talking about, cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is something that is online and securing them.
Okay.
Very, very simple.
But it seems now it's been heightened. Why the change? Because we used to talk about internet. I mean, internet is nothing new. It's been in the advent since probably like 2000s when it was very high up there. But now we're talking intensively about it. Why so?
It's because of the growth of crime online. Now, pretty much it's not only growth, it has come to an identity theft and a whole lot of things. So we are preaching to the choir, telling them there are a lot of issues going on in this world. You know, you have to protect yourself. And pretty much that is why we are making a lot of noise and making a lot of things to it. But it comes from us. We have to start and do our due diligence, right? So if we start the right way, we end the right way. And that is exactly where we need to start.
So as it stands now, what is Ghana doing wrong? And how can we strengthen the structures to make it better?
For me, I believe Ghana is not doing everything wrong. There are some parts it's not correctly done. Now, one thing I have realized is that the technology world is kind of embracing pirated tools and pirated software. Now, pirated softwares and tools comes in as a result of you know, your system, the back door being open. Now, most of the pirated tools, we use what we call key generator. It's called keygen, and the key generator opens the back door. It eliminates the system from receiving update. Now, if you don't get update to your machine, then you become vulnerable. And that is why a lot of systems are hacked. Now, when there is a vulnerability in system, it means a weakness exists. Now we're thinking about how can we eliminate these kind of weaknesses. To eliminate weaknesses, meaning that we need to patch our systems more. There are a lot that we need to do besides patching too.
But with a pirating issue, I think people go for it because for them it's the cheaper version or it's the cheaper way to go. Is it that our IT specialists also don't understand the dangers with pirated versions?
That is exactly the key. When you look into the network guys, they want to do the work, right? They want to set it right. They want to make sure the environment is running. But on the other hand, they are not looking into security aspects of these tools, right? Now, as a security professional or as a security expert, I understand that the moment the data is pirated, it means a backdoor is open. And I sometimes could create a keygen as a test, not to give it to someone. And then when I created a keygen, I removed the product code. Number one, it's stealing, right? So if I put something that is a theft data into a corporate system, and stop the machine from receiving update, then that means the machine is already vulnerable. Right. Then a hacker can come in. Now, hackers are very smart. They can put a sniffer into the keygen, right? And then they give you the pirated software. So once you connect the machine, the moment you are online, then the system is sending data to the requester or to the person that put that pirated data online. And so people go to a site that is blacklisted. We say blacklisted, meaning it's a bad site. And they go there to download these tools, right? I sometimes show people where to go to, but I believe a lot of people know those sites, and it is not a site that has to be encouraged in the environment. Now, as we are embracing security, this week being the Cyber Week, I believe there are a lot of things that we can do. Organizations will have to stand up against these deficiencies so that we can combat all these threats that are happening in our world today.
But would you also look at it from the point of education, in the sense where we can incorporate this IT training at the very basic level, so right from scratch? Because currently children are the technology. I mean, they themselves are technology in themselves. But if they understand all these things you've raised, maybe as the elderly fade out and the children take up, then maybe we'll be more cyber conscious. You know?
That is exactly the right word that you put it, training, right? We start from the basic. Now, one thing I have understood is that a lot of IT, the network guys are copying or studying from their predecessors, right? And so if I did it wrong, then they're going to learn from me. And as a result, we need to start the basics and train them. I trained a handful of youth people last week. I offered this at the ADC. And I realized the desire, the zeal that this generation have in this IT world, right? And I realized, this is a place we need to put them, right? We need to educate them the right way. And I believe they kept texting me. They said, we want more of that. The reason is that it's difficult to get the right people to show you the right way. And I believe we need to go back to basics rather than going to the top, because we move on to the top, we forget about the basics. And if the foundation is not right, then the building will be wrong.
Definitely.
Yes.
I would want to juxtapose the happenings in some countries such as South Africa to what is happening in Ghana, because do you think as we grow, we're learning from other countries to be able to secure our information, our data out there on the internet?
Yes, I believe that Ghana is going to learn from that. First of all, there are a few things we need to kind of put in perspective. We need to think about management controls from the leaders, right? I'm talking from the leaders within organization and every sector. And then we talk about technical controls, what we have to put in our systems to make us more secure. And then we're talking about physical control, where our data centers, where our data is residing. Do we give our data to somebody who is not cleared? We need to make sure our data comes into us and clear people that handles our data from confidential data right from our leaders of the nation and to our school system, our educational sectors. We need to make sure that the data are in our hands and we control the data. If the data gets into somebody who do not know our nation and do not know us, and then we don't have life, right? We can be in trouble. Just give ourselves like 5 years. Technology is going to change this country, and I believe it's going to be a big thing here. So we need to change the foundation, teach the children, and then the people who need to learn, teach them the right way, remove all the pirated data from systems, and start applying update, putting patches in place, putting firewalls, things that will make us secure. IDS systems, intrusion detection systems, we need to put in place, right? One of my experts is also being a cyber ethical. Remember the word ethical. Ethical hacker. Right? So
there's an ethical hacker?
That's ethical hacker, right? So I do it in an ethical way, right? Meaning that I do the offensive side. I attack the system, and then I show you how the system can be mended, right? So if there is a vulnerability or if there is a problem, I show you, and then you can fix the problem. If you know how to fix it, then if you do not, then I give my recommendations for others to do. And that is how we do business, right? Okay. You do not want to kind of just leave the system alone for the network guys. You go for the security. And I believe, you know, all the banking systems, when they come together and says, listen, we need to make sure and audit the system, making sure that we have the right tool, right softwares in place, in perspective, then we will be in better shape.
Well, finally, just touch on the National Digital Address System. Tell me about it, because you're an IT person. Tell me, have you identified any flaws? Do you think there's anything better we can do?
Well, this is right in the infancy level, so it's going to be very difficult to understand where it is. But my concern was the data source. Do we have this data source residing within this country or is somewhere else? If it's on Google site, who handles our data? It's very, very important because I do not want, you know, my information, my privacy, to be all out there. And that is the most important. This modern days, everybody is securing one thing or the other. So we want to make sure our president is safe. We want to make sure our leaders are safe. So we don't want to kind of put some information that displays or portrays our, you know, our behavior, so that people can see us, and then the target of or the attack comes in, because hackers target us as well.
Definitely. On that note, I'm sure you've enjoyed this discussion, because when it comes to IT, most of us don't get it. But I'm sure Dr. Samuel Boateng, he's the CEO of Slam Technology. I'm sure he's breaking it down to the very basic level for you and I to understand. So we've been talking about cybersecurity and how Ghana is well versed to prevent this in future happenings. We'll take a break. We'll be back. Stay here with us on NewDay.
Welcome back, and thank you very much. I'm sure you enjoyed that conversation with Bukom Banku. We'll be happy to read your thoughts and comments about that. But we'll show you a few photos on the screen, but some very trendy issues that have happened here. And as we get ready to wrap up the show here on NewDay. Amma.
Yeah.
So I had a call a few minutes ago talking about the fact that the real situation is very worrying. In fact, this call was from Takrady, and they were concerned about the fact that, well, we used to have rail lines that run through most of the suburbs of that part of town, and even in the eastern region. We don't seem to have them anymore, and it looks as if the politicians are playing politics with it, because he says, well, the issues I raised about the Railway Development Corporation, the Railway Authority, and now the Railway Ministry are very cogent issues, and yet nothing is happening. I don't know why and what we're doing, because if we're able to do it, it will save us all the traffic.
It will.
A large amount of it.
It will. And you know, my issue when it comes to transport is we like this touch and go attitude. We started with a BRT. Johnny, you know, Ayalo, there was so much talk about it. They started. I mean, kudos. It was good. People enjoyed the services. Within a short time, it faded out. And now we hear there's a board that has run out. So we're waiting to reinstitute. And I'm sure that's what probably happened with the railway lines. Maybe at some point, the board collapsed and they decided to. But it's high time we look at it, because not only does it solves a lot of issues. Transportation for us has always been an issue, primarily in Ghana, because everyone would love to join a train or a coach or something. If I know I can park my car safely somewhere, Johnny, reduce the cost of fuel, I'll join. But because it's not well exploited, because we haven't done it well enough to be attractive for anyone to join, seemingly because they themselves, the politicians, don't sit in these transportations. They have their own V8 running around. Well, unfortunately, I saw Kamal Dean had an accident.
Yes, Kamal Dean Abdullahi. I mean, he said he's safe. Yesterday, yes, we saw photographs of him. He said he's safe. You know.
Now you see, the V8 also derailed.
No, the road is all good. Exactly. And the potholes are there.
But they should think for the greater good of the Ghanaians, because the number of people who can actually board these vehicles and reduce traffic in Accra would be awesome. Yeah, in the Takrady region, I'm sure they can do more work in coming into Accra, going back and all that if we consider this actively.
I think that, you see, as part, these rail lines, if you will, were part of the colonial makeup of our situation, where we had them in areas where we had rich resources, so gold, bauxite, diamond, and or coal, so where people, you know, raw materials could be brought all the way towards the coast and then onto the harbors, and then they would be taken away. It looks as if now that we don't have those things being carted in large quantities, we seem to have forgotten about it. So there's a need to reroute so that we can actually have people benefit. Imagine if you had to go to Paga and you could join a rail and a train, and you could go right all the way to the top, and not go through the stress of having to. I mean, some of the rails we have, the coaches we have now, the toilets in the coaches, yamutu. The coaches are wobbling, and sometimes you're wondering what is happening, because when I pay for it, I'm supposed to get a full complement of it. I mean, last Sunday I traveled with STC, and I did that out of curiosity because of the issues between VIP and STC. I sat in the bus, cozy, nice and everything, but I was expecting to get the Wi-Fi, and I was told that the driver didn't turn up early, so he couldn't activate until we couldn't get the Wi-Fi. I'm like, well, so I paid.
But were you served a drink?
No, I wasn't served a drink. I didn't get Wi-Fi as well. So I don't know. Maybe Nana could be a good morning to you.
Yeah, definitely good morning to you. Because
Anyway.
I'm told they give drinks and biscuits. So I mean, that's why people
maybe because of my black face, nobody gave me a drink. Anyway, so all of a sudden, the NPP-led government is not comfortable going to court, but rather wants to use their majority in parliament to set bad precedents. We are watching Joseph Imboga. I'm sure you are saying this with respect to the Ameri deal. If the majority really believes that the Ameri deal is fraudulent, they should go to court and stop witch hunting. Don't know. And Razak Abdul in Tamale says Ghanaians have allowed criminals to do what they like, and many involved in fraud on internet. Just talking about little about preventing as well. So if it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you. But this is from my producer Kweku Entwi Timothy Bratimo. It says happy birthday to Dorcas, Miss Dorcas Abedu Kennedy. The Miss is very important. Yeah. Miss Dorcas Abedu Kennedy. May God continue to bless you as you celebrate your birthday today. Kweku Entwi to TV3 NewDay producer. So that's Dorcas. Kweku Entwi, is Dorcas married?
You just said Miss Johnny.
But it's anything. I mean, it could be traditional.
So it's divide and conquer.
It could be traditional marriage. You know, anything. So anything is possible. I mean,
anyway, but so I hear the traffic lights at Palm Wine Junction 6 weeks down the line are still not working. It would be good to know that they fixed it. By tomorrow, we'll be happy to hear it's been fixed. Okay. So please, they should go and attend to it.
Yeah, you're talking about Palm Wine Junction.
Palm Wine Junction and the one at Silver Star Towers as well. Again.
The Lekma Road. The Lekma Road is not being fixed. You are talking about Palm Wine Junction.
No, you are waiting for a car to derail off that road. Then they'll fix it, probably.
Okay, so there's a one corner performance fee. How much are you paying him to perform? This is RRTP. And please, he is satisfied in his corner. He says he's satisfied in his corner. And that's one corner sitting.
I'm not amused at the depiction of who seems to be patapa.
And yes, that's Natalie Ford. Natalie Ford has been nominated to win, TV News Female Newscaster of the Year, 1446. So text RTP, Natalie 1446. Bright is also there. So I'm for AMFOH to 1446. Alfred Okanse is there. So Okanse, OCANSEY 1446. I am there as well. RTP JOHNNIE to 1446. Nanekia, yes, Nanekia Mensa Brampa is there. So RTP Nanekia 1446. NewDay is also been nominated as Morning Show of the Year. So NewDay 1446. News 360 is also there. And I think Media General as the Media Group of the Year. Yesterday I saw a very interesting cartoon from Tilapia. I don't know if I can find it. I don't know really, but we need to find it. But while we look for it, the road, the Lekma Road, is very, very important. We're told that there's some monies that have been advanced, some 4 million Ghana cedis. But the contractor said they owe. So when you have to pay a large amount of it, okay, so this is it. Okay, yesterday. Okay, no, hold on. This is it. Yesterday. This is it. Guess who? So this looks like, this is Bukom Banku, obviously. And I don't know.
That looks like ex-President Mahama.
It does?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So it looks like ex-President Mahama, you say, okay. So that's a bucket. But this is in like an uncompleted place, completed building. It doesn't look like a boxing ring.
No.
That's like a kitchen stool. Bukom's palms are clasped together. In between his...
That building reminds me of, is it Asha Fort?
Yes.
Sort of.
Yes.
The children playing
Yes,
around.
It's Asha Fort. Close to Asha Fort. In between James Fort and Asha Fort, yes. But this one says, Africa Mayweather. Anyway, so happy birthday one more time to you, Dorcas Abedu. Timo, if they're this thing, then you let us.
If they're what? Say it out loud. I'm sure he wants to know what you mean.
Oh, no, I'm saying that. But if you are wishing people happy birthday, and say if there's a party or something, you should let us know. I mean, is that one too? Is it this thing?
No, it's not bad. But I'm sure he was interested. He didn't hear your last words. So, Bratimo, if there's a party, invite Johnny. He'll be there. Anyway,
have a great morning and make sure that you're winning today. Special good morning to you, Mrs. Babina Finn Walker, aka Champion.
She's on top and still rising.
On top of what?
I said she's on top and still rising.
On top of?
On top of her game.
Oh, okay, yeah,
she's champion.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we'll see you tomorrow. It's Wednesday, midweek. Have a great time. Senior Bright will return. Those who are asking the question, he will return shortly.
He's arrested in the air somewhere.
Yeah, so we'll come back. Be good.
It's time for Afro Tales.